Hello.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. How are you guys?
Fine, fine.
So does anyone want to help with the facilitation or the policy keeping?
Facilitation.
Albina, you want to help with facilitation?
No, not taking.
No, so no taking. Timekeeping, anyone?
Okay, I'll do the timekeeping.
Joseph?
Video indexing, everything.
Albina? Okay, and task responsibility master?
I can still do it, Albina.
Okay, well, I get this started. All right, so let's go ahead and start our check-ins.
Okay.
Albina, do you want to start?
Yeah. Today I'm like 6. It's 3 a.m. my time. I'm happy to join the session. Thank you.
Evo?
Steve?
Okay. Hello guys. I'm happy to join this session. I'm looking forward to gain a lot from this. I'm glad that I've timed myself and I was able to wake up at the right time. Check.
And your number? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm at 6.
6. All right. So I'm doing pretty good. I'm probably like 6.5. I am had a long week, but you know, we got a lot done, and you know, I'm looking forward to looking out for the first 2 years of the Saturn plan, which we just set up. So it should be a good session. And if there's only the 3 of us, maybe it'll go pretty quickly. So we'll see how that goes. Check.
Thank you.
All right then. So how about we do our evaluation and prioritization. So we don't have a prioritization spreadsheet, which is okay. So we're just gonna do a quick 5 minutes on the evaluations and make a prioritization list of what we want to get out of the session for today. And then we'll go from there.
I just did the evaluation.
Hi guys.
Okay,
Hello, Steve.
What's going on?
We're just doing evaluations and prioritization here.
Can somebody send me the doc, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
How are we doing on our timekeeping, Steve? Steve-O?
Pardon?
How's the timekeeping going?
Jay, are we using the Legion setup verification spreadsheet?
I don't know. We can go through it as part of our Ceres session stuff. I mean, I don't know I don't remember ever talking about Legion setup verification spreadsheets. I don't know. It's all new to me, so I don't know what it is or what it means.
Yeah.
It looks like a regular session verification spreadsheet.
Okay, but what does that mean in relationship to the Legion? It doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyways, we'll talk about it when we get to that section, okay?
Okay, where are we doing evaluation on the general one for the global?
Yeah, if you want to do an evaluation. Otherwise, as far as I know, we're out of time. I mean, I don't know if anyone wants to step up and be a timekeeper, but this is why we pay people to do work, you know, during the session is to do the different positions. So, you know, we need a timekeeper. So, Albina, you want to do the timekeeping?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Does anyone else want to help with any of the positions, policy reading, facilitation, note taking, timekeeping, task responsibility master? Joyce?
Hi, good morning.
Okay, no, I'll take it as a no. So anyways, just let us know if you want to step up into any of the positions. Otherwise, let's do some more check-ins. So we have Steve and Joyce. So Steve, K.
Okay, happy to be here. This is, one of those sessions that don't happen very often. So it's nice to be part of one as I have before. And that's about it. I'm a 7. I'm doing pretty good today.
Joyce?
Hello, good morning. It's also 2 o'clock in the morning here. And I'm glad to have the first Ceres session. And hope it will be a blessed. I'm 6.
Okay, cool. So let's go over our desired outcomes and the focus for the meeting. So we have goals for the next 2 years. Go with priorities for global core team. Not sure if that is a desired outcome. Learn about the Ceres session. Start making a plan to work as a team together. Finalize FPN core team budget. Does anyone here want to finalize core team budget?
No. I thought it has to go out to the HR board before anything is finalized.
We can talk about whatever we want to. My question is, does anyone here want to talk about the FQN core team budget?
No.
Okay, improved task delegation process. Does anyone here want to discuss the improvement of the task delegation process? No. Okay. Recruitment commission team positions. Does anyone here want to talk about recruitment commission team positions?
No.
Nobody? Okay. Approve X00M.
Zoom.
PayPal
Zoom,
payment
which
method.
is, I'd go for that. We should get that approved if we're
Yeah,
going to
we
use
can.
it. Yeah,
That's not that.
What is it?
yeah. I'll go.
This
Zoom
is
is
for-
a service of PayPal that's kind of like Payoneer and World Remit. It's run through PayPal and it works really easy.
But why do we have to approve it?
I don't think we do. I think we just have to set it up, and it's set up basically the same way as PayPal. I think Ziller is requesting to be paid via Zoom, and he sent us his information.
Okay, so what's the actual outcome?
Just getting it done, getting it set up, I guess.
So couldn't that just be done during a buddy team?
Yes.
Say
I
what?
don't know who put it on here, but yes, it can be done in a buddy team.
Okay, so why don't we just add this as like a topic for like buddy team, other whatever, right? Under payment methods. Approved documentation. So what is this? Hand over all file ownership on behalf of applicant authorized ID. What is this? Is this just having correct ownership of documents? Is that all?
That's what it looks like. That's what that looks like.
So does anyone want to go over the training on how to transfer ownership of documents?
Not really.
Is there anyone who doesn't know how to?
Okay, so we have a video training on that. So cool. All right, so we have plenty of other things that we can discuss, but let's get focused on most important ones. Any other desired outcomes? And I put here what is the Ceres session, review the Saturn plan, where are we now as of the 2-year mark, and then our goals and priorities for next year. So that's what I have as far as like the Ceres session.
Seems good to me.
So are there any other desired outcomes or priority foci?
I mean, this is a Ceres session. It looks like all the 2-year stuff is just what we need to talk about in the 15-year plan. So yeah, I think it looks good. Talk about the Saturn plan.
All right. So then I guess we have are there any objections to the desired outcomes and the focus of the meeting?
No objection from my side.
All right, well, let's move on then. So topics, agreement, good schedule. So, we should try to do our best, the timekeeping at the bottom and top of the hour. We should also, just get through this. I think we should be able to get through this in about an hour or two. And then from there, there is a Mercury session coming up, I believe. Does anyone know when the Mercury session is?
Tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Well, we also have a quarter moon session.
Quarter moon, yeah, quarter moon.
Quarter
So
moon
quarter
also.
moon's tomorrow for sure.
Quarter moon the same day, yeah.
What time is Mercury?
Okay.
The quarter
so-
moon session is tomorrow at 3 a.m. T.
3
Mercury
p.m.?
AMT.
3 p.m. or 3
p.m.
a.m.?
3 p.m. AMT, yes. The Mercury session is at 4 a.m. AMT on Sunday night, Monday morning.
It's overlapping.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. So is it Monday or is it Sunday?
The quarter moon session is
Quarter moon we don't
session
Sunday.
is Sunday afternoon, and the Mercury session is Monday morning.
So quarter moon's 3 p.m. America's time on Sunday,
Right.
9 p.m. UTC.
Right. And the
And the Mercury session's at 4 a.m. on Monday, 10 a.m.
Right.
Monday UTC.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So lots of global sessions this week. That's for sure. So that's exciting.
Okay, 4 a.m. There's nothing exciting about a 4 a.m. session. I'm sorry.
Well, it's perfectly fine. I don't know if you need to go to it anyways. It's just the Mercury session,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I
not
know.
like the
I mean,
exciting Ceres session that we have today. All right. So, any other scheduling questions? All right. So let's go ahead and go into our first topic, shall we?
Sounds good.
Which is what is the Ceres session? So I typically like to answer this question in regards to what are all the other sessions. Does anyone want to talk about the Ceres session in relationship to our other sessions? So what comes before and or after the Ceres session? So we know that afterwards comes the Jupiter session. How often is the Jupiter session?
Once every. Once every 14 months.
No.
No.
Do we not have the global link? Oh yeah, it's up here at the top. Global FQN Community Network main doc. It's all there. So nobody knows what comes after the Ceres session. Does anyone know what comes before the Ceres session?
Before the Ceres is Saturn.
No.
Okay.
Mercury.
No.
Before the Ceres is, where is it?
So
before-
after Ceres comes
before-
Jupiter session every
before
6
the
years,
Ceres-
and then Saturn session every 15 years, and the Ceres sessions every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens every year?
The Jupiter session.
No, the Jupiter session happens every 6 years.
Okay. The Mercury.
Oh, wait.
God, the Mercury session happens every 1.5
Oh,
months.
wait. What's left? The Venus.
Venus session is not after
No.
Ceres, but it is getting a little closer.
Wait, it is in an hour, not in Saturn.
So while we're on the Venus session, what is the Venus session?
The executives.
Executive. Excellent. Okay. So what comes after the executive meeting of the Venus session?
The Bouncer, the Earth session.
Yep.
The Super Bouncer.
Yep.
Always forget about that one.
And so what's between Earth and Ceres?
Mars.
Mars. My goodness, it's like pulling teeth here.
So, you know, there's so many sessions, you forget the order they're in sometimes.
I mean, it's not like a pop quiz. You can just literally Google the planets and see the order. It's like, it literally takes 10 seconds.
I just opened up the Community Global Network.
Or the
Main doc.
Community Global Network doc has the order. It's not a pop quiz, okay? All the information's there. So what is the Mars session?
It's the membership meeting.
Membership meeting, yes. Okay,
Yes.
so this is pretty good. And before the Venus session, you have Mercury, which is the management, and then you've got the new full moon, which is the 14th. Okay, so there's our structure in our meetings. So does anyone want to describe what the membership meeting is, or the super bouncer?
I've been a super council, so I can do that one. The super council is people from all different organizations coming together with any topics they'd like to discuss.
No, that's pretty much all of our meetings. The super council is the legal decisions of the board, like the boards and councils, which have legal ownership over the organizations. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So they have legal decision making over the organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then the membership and the membership/ownership/shareholders. This is the legal owners of the organizations, and this is where you appoint the boards, right? And council. Does that make sense?
There is noise in your background, Steve.
Okay. We are 4 minutes into this book.
Great. Yeah, we're almost done here. So, so then after the membership and the ownership that appoints the boards, then there's the legion. So
Steve K, there is background. Steve K.
All right, I got it. No problem.
Thank you.
That's better. Cool. And we have a new person. We'll get a seat checked in. Oh no, we'll get. Is that
Melissa?
Melissa? Yeah, we'll get Melissa checked in real soon. So then the legion, which is what we are. We're a legion-based organization. Is basically the what we would call basically the public elections and the public involvement, engagement, and oversight. So this would be considered kind of like the visionary direction of the organization. So we want the legion. The legion are basically people who once every 2 years they set the direction of the organization, but the membership or the owners and the shareholders and the people who are actively involved, typically the public wouldn't, like most of the public wouldn't actually come onto a meeting. I mean, they might once every couple years, but it's overall our expectation is that the membership, owners, shareholders really actively engage once a year. And help appoint the boards and set the actual motion of the legal direction for the organization. Whereas the legion is, even though they have a lot of power and control and can elect and appoint the leadership, they're not necessarily actively involved in discussion like the membership and ownership and shareholders would be. So, but what we are a legion. The legion is directly in control and power of the elections of the organization. So, or in the network. So hopefully that makes sense. Beyond legion is basically events like Jupiter session, Saturn session. It's basically where we are, it's other legionary connections, but it's just all the same thing at that point. It's like the legion is what we are. And so anything beyond 2 years is basically just more of an extension of our connection with the whole public and public events, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Cool. So hopefully that makes sense. So in the context of a legion setup verification spreadsheet, it has nothing to do with the team. There is no team that is the legion. The legion would be something broader and bigger than that. But it's still fine to have, think about the legion more of like a client. So our legion doc can be used as where are we at with our client? Our verification for the legion is, have we verified the engagement and involvement of the legion? I mean, basically we are indebted to the legion, but there's shared power structures between the membership and ownership and the legion themselves. And of course, we are all legion, but we're also members and owners and shareholders and involved in the actual internal systems of the network. So hopefully that becomes clear over time, but I think we're pretty good. So let's turn it over to Melissa. Melissa might have some ideas. Melissa might have some ideas about the Legion as well, and you can also check in, and we can go from there.
No, I just wanted to say hi and thank you. A happy, session, and I'm at a 7. Yeah.
You have nothing to say about the Legion, huh?
Not particularly right now. Legion is great.
Well, it did come from Mel. She was the instigator of us becoming a Legion, even though she doesn't want to talk about it, but that's okay. Cool. So we seem to have put all this stuff in the wrong location. So let's.
Is there a main document that I can reference? Is it in Skype? I'm just getting started.
Let me send you.
There's a session document Skype and channel. Vina just put it on the Hangout.
Okay, perfect. I see it now. Great. And
Cool. All right. So I think that we are good. Are there any other questions about what the Ceres session is, why it exists, how often it happens? What is the Legion? How are we in relationship to the Legion? Anything else? I have one other thing I guess I could mention. So, I think everybody understands the global core team. Does anyone not understand the global core team at this point? Yeah. So in order for to have a successful new/full moon session, we would need to invite everybody on the global core team to the new moons or full moon. Does everyone understand that concept?
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, to have a successful Mercury session, we need to invite the entire global core team plus the entire management team. So the management team would include all the managers within the FQN Community Network, as well as all the managers within all of the other organizations that we are working with. Does that make sense? And one of the next steps for the management that we can talk about at the Mercury session is next steps. We do have some things to discuss in relationship with digital storytellers and SLAM events.
We are 10 minutes into the topic.
Great. I think we're pretty much done. So then in order to have a successful Venus session, we need to invite all the executives and all the managers and all the core team members to the Venus session. And the Venus session would include all of the executives of all of the other organizations within the network. Okay, so it would be broader than just the management. And so in order to have a successful Venus session and to get full network equity and everything, we would need to do that. So then in order to have a successful Super Council, we would need to invite all the boards members and all the council members of all the organizations across the entire network to the Earth session, right? So basically what I'm trying to say is we don't do that, right? To have a successful Mars session, we need to invite the entire membership. Again, we don't do that. So we need to have a successful Ceres session, we need to be inviting all the membership and council and executives and management. But we just don't do that. So we basically lose out on all of the value of the Ceres session because we just simply don't do the work that's required for just the basic minimum invitations so that people know that it's happening. And that's the only way we would get the value of the actual network equity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what do we need to do?
Makes sense, but I got a question.
Yeah.
I know Albina did the series invitations. How come they never went out?
Because we didn't follow up on it and it needed to be prioritized, and we had a lot of other things to do with, like the budget and lots of interviewing and lots of other issues that came up, and then all the payroll stuff. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
All right, that's fine.
But at some point, somebody has to just step up and make it happen, and work together as a team so that we actually follow through with everything. But either way, we're still not particularly good at any of our session support. So once we get good at doing just anything as a team, we'll be better at doing session support as a team. Once we get good at doing any session, we should be able to do all of them. Does that make sense? Like the difference of a Ceres session and an Earth session or Venus session is basically there's no difference. It's just you're inviting more people. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to know.
So let's move on. So I guess now we're going to go over the Saturn plan goals. So would anyone like to take that on? Would anyone like to help review the Saturn goals with us today? Hello, is anyone there?
Yeah, I'm here. I wasn't there, so I don't know what the setting goals are.
Was anyone here during the Saturn session?
Let me check this session.
Yes, Dave. Can I just read them all?
That's exactly what we want. Just to read some of the Saturn goals and give
Okay.
people an idea of what our vision was and what our goals. And this is the 15-year vision. So the way to think
Just
about
copy
it,
and paste the address on our notes.
please don't copy and paste it. I really don't want to see 10 pages of notes.
Okay.
That's just not necessary. All we want to do is just a quick review of the Saturn plan goals. And what we want to spend our time on is focusing on the Ceres plan, the 2-year plan, not the 15-year plan. So this is a really quick review of the 15-year plan in the context that when we talk about the 2-year plan, it'll be like the implementation the first 2 years of our 15-year plan.
Yes. Basically, the Saturn goals are alleviating the people's condition. But first, we must change our mentality towards corruption, and then towards fighting corruption also, and bring economic systems down to common person, and then fully set up our community and unity methodologies.
Can we just slow down a little bit, because these are really good and you're flying through them really fast. So fighting corruption, bringing economic systems to normal everyday people. These are really important, and so you don't need to like fly through them. You can give a little minute for each one to set in, you know? So,
okay.
So I think we might have missed one at the beginning, and then I missed one at the end. So
okay. So it says in our note, changing our mentality towards corruption, prioritize fighting corruption, bring economic systems down to common person, fully set up all FQN community and unity methodologies for public use. And primary purpose of the unity methodologies are decision-making models. And it represents our evolution of democracy, entire community, councils, and the world communities. Get our house in order and meet our basic responsibilities as a network, including running smooth planetary session regularly. Also, doing a full public launch with the FQN community network. Utilize the Jupiter plan as our primary plan. It is 6 years, and still try to update the 15-year plan, but don't need to kill ourselves to do it. Definitely 100% moving forward with cyber economic models of economic infrastructure. For this, we will have launched dozens of tokens and cyber coins over the 15 years and creating our economic future by building economic cyber tools and our virtual ledger machine. And number one, sustainability, cooling down the capital of the planet, 0 degree in zero time with the 0 degree project of Stanford, write lots of grants, and bring in funds for many organizations. Focus must be for education, on methods of education. Methods must focus on how we work together as teams and communities. When we do decision making, we involve all as entire community. And then here also, it says, I do believe in the next 15 years, we will have dramatic planet. We need to build a community across the world. A small group can change the world. We don't really need more people. We need to learn how to work together as a group. Everything should come together, including helping the community. Okay, in the last few years, you can see cybercurrency. The whole world are changing on cybercurrency. In terms of technology, we have yet to reach where we're supposed to be, and also in terms of financial systems. Next, we can make decisions and start the process of transforming our education systems. Balance our economic model, basic guaranteed income and equity. Need to fight corruption for the next 15 years to come. Overcome the global economic crisis. Creating skillful people who know how to do a job. And then we are at having ability to have a job and have skills. Then personal assistance. The problem could be eradicated by doing more types of work. People who can help the government and eradicate hunger can only be accomplished by creating skilled people. Need to educate people. Make skill. What makes skill? People unemployed need skills to be employed within. To educate people and skills, helping people learn skills is necessary. The goal of creating a cyber economic citizens course and training for the public. How to help countries that are behind the times will be through education. It's difficult because of war and conflict. Conflict evaluation and education program to help build peace. Without even access to electricity, how can you help them? Organizing methodologies for global and regional governance. Governance models for decision making. Yes, we can create a type of analog? Is it analog? Local bottom-up community organizing and decision-making manual. Go in physical and support the community to learn how to make decisions and organization, specifically to meet basic life needs like water, conflict evolution, food or farming, energy and resources. Access new economic include analog models. Give access and the decision making regardless of whether they have technology now. Shelter, healthcare, and empowerment of the community through analog methods and techniques that supplement their existing resources. Small villages of a few 100 and up, easily accessible and optional. We need to help people as much as we can if we have power. Let's get the planet and start helping them. Do we move forward? Must organize and prioritize our value and our value systems. And next, healthcare. healthcare, one of the most important things. Jay said, I was supposed to go to the hospital and I was told I wasn't even a human being. Negligence within the healthcare system. In this day, in age, no one should die from negligence in hospitals. So with health and wellness, education, infrastructure. We do huge global security with UN. And the next 15 years, there is food crisis. And other people say that for the next 10 years, there will be water crisis. And last, it's greenhouse. All his greenhouse will, what's this? It's not expensive to build. That's all it.
Great. Cool. So that gives us a good concept of like where we're headed over the next 15 years and what we want to build and create and how we want to support people. Is there anything missing there? Or?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
9 minutes. This topic.
I think we're done. Oh, fine. Cool. So I think we're ready to move on, right? Is there anything else about our the Saturn plan? So the Saturn plan exists. So does the Jupiter plan, and so both of those are kind of like our longer term vision, our 6-year and our 15-year vision. So what we want to talk about now is, okay, if that might be something we could potentially achieve in 15 years, what do we do for the first 2 years, right? So the first thing to think about in the context of the last 2 years and where we are now, how far have we come? You know, where are we currently? And then from there, we'll be thinking of where do we want to go over the next 2 years to help move towards the implementation of our 15-year plan over the next 2 years. So does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Cool. So sometimes this kind of gets interlaced. So, you know, we want to make sure everyone's got an opportunity to speak, but if you happen to talk about and mix them up, it's fine. But there's 2 questions. The first question that we're going to do a full round, everyone will get a chance to speak, is where are we now? Okay. So this relates to, you know, our current series plan. So we open up the series session doc, we should have the previous plan. And we can think about, you know, what has been achieved from that plan, what wasn't achieved, and where we currently are in relationship to our goals of 2 years ago. Okay, and this is the Perihelion session, so this is the point at that Ceres is the closest to the sun right now, which is important in terms of it being like the primary plan as opposed to the second. So we could look at you know, some of our projects and ideas and planning here for the last 2 years. Okay. So who should we start with? So again, the first round here is just to focus on the question for 2 years. Steve, did you want to go? Or?
Okay, I can go with this. So where are we now? Now we're public launch already, and we would like to be secure with, you know, our finances. So I think we're still at the very beginning of where we would need to be. I mean, the public launch, getting people involved outside of, you know, the FQN, the actual public is the only way this plan can still implement this 15-year plan. You need people involved and, you know, the outside, the public. So I think we just need to focus on getting the public launch going and, you know, getting more people, doing the, you know, the outreach for volunteers and, you know, where we should be at least in my opinion at this point, and I don't think we're there. I think we've talked about doing the outreach, but it's just always gotten pushed to the back burner. And I think we need to, seriously work on it a little more than we have been. It's where I feel we're at now, and maybe where we need to be over the next 2 years to get the websites all fixed so people can access our websites to see what we're all about. And of course, to, get our finances together. Get our finances in order so that the problems that we've had over the past few months with Jay getting sick and ending up in the hospital and all the strife and people, worrying that they're not there anymore, but it's a lot easier to get things accomplished when you're not worrying about the budget every minute. So that's where I think we are where we need to be.
So a couple questions for you, Steve. The first one is you didn't really talk about where we are now. You mainly talked about where we want to be, which is fine. But if you want to try to give them a better description of where you think we are now is good. The other question in terms of our finances would be in relationship to, one option for getting our finances in order would be to cut the budget so that we have a balanced budget. Another option in terms of getting our finances together would be, focusing on bringing in more money, either grants or clients or other things that we just need more money versus just cutting and balancing our current money. So you didn't really have a specific clarity on that.
Yeah, specifically, and we've discussed this, and I think everybody knows, I feel we should be bringing in more clients. I think that the core team that's left opinion. I think the methodology for getting work done has gotten, written down. And I'm not talking about the new people that, the core team that's been here for a few months or longer, work well together, can work as a team, have basically, and we all have problems, myself included, working as a team. But I think we've kind of learned that we have to work as a team or nothing's going to work. So I think we need to focus on bringing in more finance money via the grants, which is going to take time. And I know you're working on that. I was at yesterday's meeting. I think that we should be bringing in clients, maybe not clients that have as much client work as EXA did. That was maybe taking on too much, especially when we were just starting. But somewhere between where we are, somewhere in the middle between the zero client work we have now and where we were with EXA would be nice. We would put in a steady budget, and it was work that we could do. As far as where we are with the public outreach, I think we're nowhere with the public outreach because we just haven't prioritized it. We've talked about it, but we've never really done any work on it. We said, yeah, we're going to do outreach, but we've never gotten it done because we were focusing on client work and getting necessary. We didn't worry about the outreach. As far as our websites, we were doing great until they kind of tried to rob us for $10,000 to get us to take their program, which we're not going to do. I feel like we need to really step up getting the websites all, back together, at least the main ones, the ones that tell what we're about, the main links to the, to Unity and things like that, where we can tell people who we are. We can send them the links, which we don't have set up right now. Does that cover where we're at now a little better instead of just where we should be?
Oh,
I'm not trying to give you a headache, and I see you holding your head, Jay. I'm not trying to give you a headache,
Well, I mean, you talk about things like we need to get our websites back up and running. So, I mean, that sentence would be very different if it was where are we now? Where are we now is currently our websites are not up and running. Does that, you see the difference in the vocabulary?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still hearing from you where we want to be, which is perfectly fine. But yeah.
Well, where we want to be kind of, says if we're not there now, by saying where we want to be kind of says we're not there. So, okay.
I understand. It's fine. It's fine. Sometimes it can be difficult to talk in the context of where we are now, but it's both are equally important. Perfectly fine. But it's actually, it's important to note that where we are now doesn't have to be defined by where we want to be. And sometimes where we want to be can actually be focusing on something that has nothing to do with where we are now. So it's about understanding that there actually is a difference. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So, because sometimes if you focus on everything that you want and you don't understand where you are currently, that can get you in trouble, and vice versa. That if you just sometimes you get too bogged down in everything that's going on now, and you don't think of the bigger picture. Anyway, so Steve, you can continue if you have more to add. This is great. I will note that I really like what you're bringing up here, because you're really talking about implementing our 15-year vision based on what we need to do internally as an organization in terms of our finances, our websites, and our public communications. So this is great.
No, I think that got me covered. I think I'm pretty good right there. I mean, yeah. As far as changing the wonderful ideas, we've been trying to do with tokenization, and we haven't, we're not at the point where we can issue tokens yet. Hopefully that will happen within the next 2 years. That's, I think, long-term planning as far as for the world. That's well into the 15-year plan, I think. I don't see that happening in the near future.
It's easier to do than you might think. It's just a matter of prioritizing. Cool. So that's great. Anything else, Steve?
Nope, I'm done.
All right. Who wants to go next?
It's Melinda.
Oh, Melinda, you're there too. Do you want to check in? I didn't know. I thought it was just Melissa.
We're together, Jay. Yeah.
Okay, well, Melinda didn't check in. Only Melissa checked in.
Oh, my bad. I would say I'm an 8.
Melinda is an 8. And how are you doing?
Fine. It's just like weekend is good for me. But where we are now, I believe we're in a budget crisis. So a lot of people are getting laid off, and we are working on grants right now, and especially the Stanford one is super important. And we're still in the middle of recruiting more people who can help without, spending so much of the budget. And then that'll be, that's what I know. And then we're still working on our taxes. So we're behind and a little disorganized.
Perfect. Anything else that you want to add?
I want to just add that where we are now also is, for the first time, FQN, I guess the Community Life Network, has a new collaborative partnership with Stanford officially in an MOU. So that's brand new. It's never had a university.
What do you mean by officially?
Because it's in the MOU.
What MOU? The draft unsigned MOU or the final version that's actually official?
And I am pretty sure, well, Sharik basically said that it was almost official, or pretty much, But
okay,
yeah.
but I think there's a difference between being official and being pretty much, sort of, almost, but not exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess we haven't seen the final version, but I guess route with 90%, 95% certainty. Yeah. So that's new. Despite all the other things,
And let's just list it. So it's the zero degree project with the Kaczynski Global Collaboratory at Stanford University.
I think it's perfect that it has the word global because, Jay, you organize globally. This team is global. A partnership with the global aspect of Stanford is a pretty amazing achievement over the past few weeks. So, yeah. And then we'll get funding. Well, let's see. We're working on it. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else from either Melinda or Melissa about where we are now?
That's it. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, cool. Cool, and everyone will get a chance to, we'll do a whole nother round on how we want to move forward for the next 2 years. So who is next? Devo, Albina, Joyce, should I go?
Okay, can go. For me, where we are now in terms of local support, I think we are okay. Melinda and Melissa stepped in to help Jay at the ground. And in terms of the JELO team, it's like a concern. Most of them are not yet having priorities. And we have had an encounter with them. Most of them are even having problems with communication. So we need also to support them to make sure that they have at least priorities, so that will be a better place in JELO team. We need to also understand which are their priorities and responsibilities they are supposed to work on. Because most of them actually up to now, it's like a month, and most of them are 1 month plus. And they don't have priorities yet. Where we want to be in 2 years' time, I'll say clients outreach, investor relations outreach. We need to have clients chip in, and at least we'll be better in the budget and financial support also. And also about corruption. We need to eradicate corruption and poverty by educating the public. Also working as a team and implementing the methodology systems. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, Albina. Anything else? Joyce, Steve O? Should I go?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, Joyce, or should I go? Or?
Go ahead, Jay.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. So where we are now. So in terms of like 2 years ago, you know, we had some big goals of, you know, our Human Union project, our Project Ambassador, some of our, you know, human rights and rights goals, as well as some of our grassroots politics. This was in the midst of the beginning of the whole, you know, Bernie movement. It was after Occupy, but you know, the beginning of the Bernie movement and like all the politics going on around the 2016 elections. And then we also had our goals of like basic life needs and other aspects. And, you know, especially in relationship to some of the political goals, like, you know, overall, the communities that were working on helping the planet and moving things forward to make the world a better place for everyday people, it didn't succeed particularly well, especially in some of the elections, as well as in, you know, setting up some of these programs. So what the most important thing to know of where we are now that's different from 2 years ago is 2 years ago, we really, oh, no one's taking notes on all this. Okay. So I guess I'll just re-say all this and write it myself. Oh boy. So where was I? So we got to figure out this whole notes thing. Oh my goodness gracious. We don't need to put my name in. We're a whole one big group here. We're all working together as a group. All right. So
we at the top of the
last
we have
2 years we we're working.
Oh, Jay, it's 9 o'clock. It's 7 a.m. Let's take our break so everybody can go stretch their legs. go use the facilities if they have to. You know, it's top of the hour, break time.
Okay.
You said remind people.
All right. Break.
That means you have to get up also. Then we can see you.
Okay.
That means you have to stand up also.
All right. Well, let me at least just get the thought out of my head, because I was trying to just explain something, and I just feel like I was kind of like, I don't know, not supported as a team. We need to figure out how to work together as a team, because it's like, you know, it's like, why should we be paying like $50, $60, $100 an hour for us to be here during this meeting, and we can't even take basic notes? You know, it's just really frustrating. We have to figure that out somehow. Otherwise, we're just not going to get anywhere, you know? Here, I can write that down. Still not able to take even basic notes during meetings.
I'm back.
I'm also back.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Lucy.
Hi.
Hi. Can I have a dog, Albino?
Okay.
Hi, Lucy. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm fine.
Okay, yeah, Lucy.
Thank you.
Mariana got her artist chance to get it.
Long break, Jay. Are we ready? Are you there?
Besides Jay, is anyone else there? Is everyone else back?
Yeah,
Joyce,
yeah.
you back?
Joyce?
Yes. I'm back.
Joyce?
Of who's missing? Okay.
It looks like Joyce and Jay.
Okay. All right. And who's helping to take notes? Because it seems like Jay got pretty frustrated with that. Like when Jay talks, should one of us volunteer to take notes in his place?
Look on the dock and see what it says.
Right.
Actually, yeah, Joyce, I, and Jay. 3 people.
Okay. It says.
I just saw Albino and Jay only.
Okay.
Can
Okay,
I
well,
check in?
while
Yeah, you
we're
can.
waiting, Lucy, Albina, you're taking notes?
Yeah,
Lucy, would you like to check in?
Yes, of course, I would like to check in. Hello, guys. Sorry for being late. I forget to set my alarm, so I overslept. Happy to join Ceres for the first time. Thank you. I'm at
Which number?
6. And it is 4 a.m.
Okay.
All right.
Should we just keep moving forward?
Right. That's what I was just going to say.
Right.
I'll be. Excuse me, Joyce. You were gonna tell us your feelings on where we're at now and where you think we should be in 2 years. So why don't we pick it up from where we are, and when Jay gets back, if he'd like to, he continue where he left off. But meanwhile, we're not sitting here doing nothing.
Right.
So, Joyce, are you there? I guess Joyce isn't back yet either. Steve-O, how about you?
Okay, me, I think much is not being done. Is not being done about after recruitment. The recruits are not taught much about what we do here in FQN. So I think we need to put much effort so that we can train the new recruits so that they can know what they should do. There's assumption that they can watch the training videos, but most of the training videos are not clear. Like you can watch a training video and they have not explained everything from the scratch. So they assume that already you know what they are talking about, but in real sense you don't know. So that's what I'm concerned about.
All right, and where do you think we should, where do you think we'll be in 2 years? Where do you think we should be in 2 years?
I think in 2 years, we should set up some people so that they can be doing training, thorough training for the new recruits. Like as now, it's not easy to get someone who will train you on something because when people come, they hang out, they're always busy doing their other priorities.
I'm not sure. And what about? All right, that's fine. Melissa, Melinda, either one of you?
We already talked about it, sort of. So.
Sorry, I wasn't really facilitating. I kind of got jumped into the middle here. Joyce, are you back? Joyce? Jocelyn?
Guess not.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, can you tell us where you think, we are and where you think we should be in the next 2 years, please?
Yeah. Right now, of course, we are not good in our budgets right now. So I think to help this, we should have clients, more clients. We should we should work on our investor relations to have more clients, so we can have a more income source, and also we haven't done our public launch, so that at least we can have like maybe get more donations, public donations, and also we can get the public interact and have some volunteers. Yeah, that's what I can see right now. We are at.
I'm sorry, man. Jay, would you like to pick up where you left off?
Sure.
I hope you don't mind. We kind of started without you and let some other people talk while you were getting lunch or early dinner, whatever. So please continue.
I just needed a minute. But yeah, I mean, where I was before, I mean, it's just, I mean, for me, there's definitely a lot of frustration overall, especially in the context of working as a team. And I just mentioned how it's like, you know, I was going through all the past things over the last 2 years, but I'll see if I can get back into that. But it's really just like, for me, the present is the most important thing. The present represents our entire past and our entire future. And, you know, it's like we still aren't even able to do the basic note taking. You know, I'm just not sure how to deal with that. Like for me, it's, our meetings are like a little micro representation of our community and of our team and of our work, right? So we aren't able to function within a meeting. Then how are we supposed to be able to function within anything else? So I'm not sure what to do about that, but there's got to be somehow, some way to remedy that. And I feel like a lot of times when I'm, you know, project these issues that just come up over and over and over again, it's just like silence as opposed to like, oh my God, yes, of course we need to take notes. Like, it's like the whole idea that it's like pulling teeth to even get the concept across. I don't know how to deal with that. But it does make me feel like our primary focus should be on cutting the budget and or starting from scratch and then finding people who do want to take the note taking and the procedures of the meeting and processes and protocols to make equality between all the participants of the meetings and make sure all the notes are getting taken is like really, really important. So I don't know how we're going to do that, but I can try at least maybe to write a little bit of what I said. So give me a couple minutes. So, you know.
Well, maybe we need more note takers, Jay. I know that was a trigger, but
all the time. Yeah, we need more note takers. Yes, more note takers.
Okay,
like
well
super
then,
top
I mean,
priority.
There's only, I think, 2 people assigned, and then so maybe for a meeting of this size, we should have more people assigned.
I did ask who would like to help take notes. I mean, you know, he asked more than once, and Albina said yes. And, you know, it's really hard when you're actually talking to take your own notes. Yeah. I've tried, I know Jay tries, it's really difficult to talk. And so, you know, it just, you know, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
It's a problem anymore.
But it's an ongoing problem from the beginning. It's still a problem. And it's like, until we can solve that problem, I don't see us being successful as an organization on anything else. I think it's just like a representation of all the other problems that we have.
Okay.
Well, let's see, what I was trying to say is essential to, what was I saying?
Yeah, well, Melinda is setting up right now, and so, you know.
So for me, it's essential to be collaboratively working together to treat everyone equally and equitably, right?
Okay.
And that includes your voice and your opinions and your contributions and all that, right? So it's not just like, oh, Jay should work like a dog all the time, and when he's talking, no one should take notes, and he should do this, and he should do that, but no one else should do it. It's like, it's not equitable, and it's not teamwork. Okay, so anyways, in terms of, I mean, I could go on and on about all the teamwork problems that were, you know, one of the solutions we already brought up, which is like this idea of the methods and methodology. So I think we are going to be doing that over time, but I think that in the short term, it's just cutting our losses, because that right now we're just losing, and it's not fair to anybody, including the people who are, you know, going above and beyond. So in the context of just like the last 2 years, which I think is really important to note here, and I'll try to write this down. So in the last 2 years, it was the end of the Occupy movement, and we went into the burning movement here in the United States. And obviously the anti-corruption movement has been ongoing, but hasn't really gone up or down. So in that context, there was a huge push, especially in the U.S., for alternative and more grassroots candidates. Obviously Bernie, and it didn't work out. So I think there's a lot of reasons why it didn't work out, but I think primarily it was the inability to function as a bottom-up community where you empower and support individual communities. I think that was one of the biggest problems of the whole Bernie movement and the political issues, that it was still too top-down money-driven. Too top-down money-driven. So, yeah. From there, within our own, I mean, we obviously had a lot of big ideas and visions and projects that we never really got to. And we were working a lot with, World Play Ventures 2 years ago, and we were also working on scale change, and a lot of it didn't quite work out. Again, I think it was in relationship to the teamwork and really distributed power and involvement. So we still like major issues.
No comment.
Within teamwork and distributed power and engagement. So I think there's also some structural components in there that I won't get into, but there's a lot that we can do to improve upon our situation. So I think that's pretty much my kind of handle on where we are and have been over the last couple of years. And then the key component that is new. So the new addition to everything is the cyber currencies, right? So cyber currencies, Bitcoin and Ether, got huge in 2017. So this is the first time that we have had a realized new economic future in a big enough movement. So just to kind of give the bottom line, it went from about 50 billion to almost $1 trillion of cyber assets in 2 years or less. Probably even smaller, probably more like 25 billion to 1 trillion assets, and then it crashed down to about 150 or 250 billion. Yeah, so it's been quite a ride, but I think it's the future, and I think it's very exciting, and that's pretty much. And the sooner we can get tokens, I think the better. So I think that's I'm done. Yeah. Anyone left? Steve-O?
No, Steve-O went while you were getting dinner. And
Lucy?
Joyce went.
Is Lucy here?
Lucy needs to.
Did Lucy check in?
Lucy's checked in. Lucy joined us. Lucy's checked in.
Okay.
So Lucy, we're asking people where they think, where we are now and where we've kind of come in the last 2 years, or, however long you've been involved, whatever. And where do you think we need to go in the next 2 years? So if you'd like to give us your opinion, Lucy.
Yes.
Or your...
Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I think for us to move forward for the next 2 years, what we need to do, we need to really focus on system and processing. When our system are working well, and when we understand and follow the policies of the organization, then even working as a team, is going to be easier. When we don't work as a team, then all things fall apart. That's the first thing that we need of what training. But when we follow the system, I think we also need to come up with a system whereby we have a specific people that when we recruit a new members, they're only going to be following up with the new recruits, and other people who are like experienced, maybe we have other job, we just allow them to work, not to go back and focus on new recruits or those. So we have to come up with, we have to see people who are slow learners. Not everyone is like they can catch up things easily. We need to when you are doing onboarding, you need to come up with like is this person faster or a slow learner? When you identify that person in a slow learner, we put a group of those people who are slow learners, so that we will know these people, they don't catch the thing easily like others members, so that they can also have a space. Like now we are talking of writing notes, you have to do the note. People are feeling, I think, according to me, I feel like people are fearing taking notes. Maybe they feel not good, what things like that. We need to allow them to, we need to have a specialist team to follow up with special people who need more help on how to work. So when we really engage more, when people very well, then we are going to also get something from them easily. We need also to set up like, we only have like 2 weeks for someone to be trained. After 2 weeks, then we see if that person can do the work. If not, we let it go. No need of keeping somebody. And that person may be, he or she might not be interested in working with us, you know. Not everyone, like, we do many things, many responsibilities, many tasks. Not everyone have that heart of learning different things every day. They give up easily. And maybe some, they take it as an opportunity or advantage, because he or she can come to the meeting and stay there. By the end of the day, they get paid. We need to do away with this. And also, I propose, when also, I just focus really on recruitment also. When we recruit people, we have to have a team that they do also a small interview. A small interview of the person. Because right now, we really have a major problem with these new people. Some of them are not communicating. So it is very hard for you to train someone who is silent. It's so hard. I think we need to come up with a system, just a system that can help us move forward as a team and as an organization. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, so I mean, I put all of that under moving forward for the next 2 years, because it was mostly about where we're going as opposed to where we are. But let's go on to the next section, right? That's everybody?
Yeah.
Not everyone? All right, so yeah. now we went through where we are now. Obviously, it was intermixed with where are we going, but I believe that it is important that we're going to do a second round with everybody, and everyone can give their input on where do we want to be in 2 years. So these will be our 2-year goals in relationship to our longer, 6 and 15-year goals, and how we're going to set up ourselves to be successful. So let's do another round on where we want to be in our priorities and goals for the next 2 years, and how we want to implement the beginning of our 15-year plan. So who wants to start?
I guess I went first last time. I'll go first again this time. Where we want to be. I think we want to be financially stable. We want to be publicly launched. Possibly, hopefully distributing tokens. And I think we want to be able to focus on some of the issues that we haven't been able to focus on over the past 2 years, as poverty, the environment, equality. I think if we get, our finances straightened out and we get our systems and processes straightened out, we can start actually trying to do something, things like, Unity Day and all the other things that, we've talked about, that Jay and I have discussed. And I know Jay and I, Mel have discussed over the years. It would be nice to implement some of those things that we've talked about in the past. That's where I'd like us to be. That's it for me.
Right.
Working as a team with our systems, the process is working. That's all.
Yeah, and I just want to mention one thing about this concept of focusing on issues in the public interest. That's sort of the term I used here, is that this is very different than taking on clients. I don't think we're ever going to find a client who's going to pay us to do work that's not for them. Does that make sense?
Of course, but the idea is to have enough clients that we can spend the time, that we're financially stable enough that we can take the time to work for things that aren't client driven.
Yeah.
That we're not always worrying about else and stuff. That's publicly, important things.
So just so you guys know, while we're taking all these notes, we're all one group. We don't need to separate everything into individual people. So, we just want to connect all the notes together. So we've got, so far we've got systems and processing, public launch, websites and systems, finances, investor relations, working as a team, more public launch. So this should go up to the top. All right. All right, who's next?
So for systems and processes, I feel like I feel pretty optimistic for the next 2 years. And I think we can implement definitely a project management system, because I think people crave structure in general, and it'll be so much easier. And then there's a whole list altogether where, everybody's held accountable for the work. Because I know we have a lot of spreadsheets right now, but when there is budget, I think it's only $40 a month or something like that. And then if it's a year subscription, it's less. And there's a lot of good ones out there. But also I feel like once we are completely really organized, we can get a lot done, and the company will be prosperous again.
So your only goal for the organization for the next 2 years is project management? Or do you have anything else to add, Melinda?
Well, no, everything's really listed in detail already, but that's something I would like to add.
All right, anyone else? Melissa, did you want to add anything?
Well, I don't want to be redundant. A lot has been said over.
I think redundancy is actually really important here. this is the chance for people to express their own perspective and their own point of view. And I don't care if someone says the same thing that someone else said, it's going to come out differently. Every person who says it will come out differently. So please just speak from your heart with your own authenticity and share. If everyone's just scared about sharing and concerned that someone else may have said it, then I don't think we're going to work very well as a team and actually get to where we want to be.
Okay, well, I mean, to continue, I don't want to be redundant, yet I do want to reinforce a lot of what people have said. I would love, from taking it from underground to a public launch right now, it's still in stealth mode, financial stability. I've always, you know, I agree with prioritizing the website in 2 years and just having a really amazing website. Just upgrading to professional software. Melinda mentioned project management software, but other softwares that help with like HR, recruiting, basically automation of things. Someone mentioned recruitment videos and onboarding stuff. I just would love all the systems and protocols to just be as concise and succinct as possible. And then in general, you know, more diversified funding, more clients. In 2 years, I see it being a cohesive global team that that works around the clock and makes is unique and one of its own kind, and is all working towards the same goal of making the world a better place.
Cool.
That's it.
Anyone else? Albina? Lucy?
I think I'll add something on, like on teamwork. We need to understand our position and have new skills. When we know our skills, actually, we will have a better position to have more clients. Because first place, if we don't have skills, we cannot get more clients. So we need to be more on that, get more trained ourselves, understand what we are supposed to do, and it will also help us. Just the way Lucy said that we need to, those people who are trained, like for Jello teamers, it was my concern. At the start, I said most of them are 1 month and plus, but not yet having responsibilities. So we need to understand them also. Where the problem is, or maybe those people taking through the onboarding, they're not doing their work. So it becomes our concern also. Let us not take more time that training people who are not interested. If they show their interest, then it will be better we move at the same page.
Okay.
Cool. Steve O or Lucy, or should I go? Joyce? Shall I go? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
it should really start with the you know, working as a team. And, have organized work and okay, and also so if we are organized, then we can have more clients. If we're organized, we can get more work done, and if we get our work done, then we can have more clients because we can now handle them. So we can get more investors, and also by having by finally having our public launch, we can get more donations, more investors also, so we can stabilize our income, and we increase through public launch. We increase the public interaction and allow more people to be involved, and or also for to allow fundraising also. That's all I can say.
Cool. All right, I guess I'll go next here. I do have one idea on our issue for our recruitment. I mean, I think one thing it's important to note is that, like, you know, nobody here in their first month after being recruited was some Einstein or amazing organizer, you know? So, like, we want to hold everybody to the same standards and treat people equally. So it's like after a month, if they're not perfect, it's like, okay, it's not surprising. But there's a couple of really important components that are easy to implement if we wanted to. One is that we could say, look, like, once we recruit someone, like there has to be somebody in the team who's like, okay, we want to keep this person around. They could have a lot of potential, right? Within maybe a week or so. And then maybe 2 weeks later, it's like, okay, maybe 2 people should be like, this person should stick around, right? And then by the end of the month, there should be a vote that's just like, yes, this person seems like a good person to add to the team. So that potentially could be one way of doing it. But overall, we do need to realize that, you know, it does take time for people to learn. Sometimes it could take years for what we're doing. And I would be the one to argue in terms of where we are now that, like, you know, a lot of us talk as if we are so skilled and amazing and have all these great, like, we're so experienced, but it's like in the reality of the situation, we're not. I mean, we would be in a very different place if we were all skilled global organizers. Being a skilled global organizer who knows how to do global organizing in multiple cultures all across the world is just not a normal skill that anyone just has. And it doesn't just happen overnight. Like, it takes years and years and years, if not, you know, decades, decade to actually learn how to organize globally. All right, so in the context of some of our other goals here and where we'd want to be in the next year, I think we really do need to upgrade on our elections system. So I'm going to note elections here. I think prioritization and decision making, we have way too much we want to do. We must prioritize and narrow our focus and focus on one goal or objective at a time. And that's where the teamwork comes in, is if we're all working on the same things, we should be able to get a lot more done. So, I mean, I love the idea of working on equality, environment, you know, economy for all, unity, ending corruption, all this stuff, but let's get it focused. Let's get the elections going on, the community elections, and make sure we're prioritizing all of these ideas and campaigns and community work. So that is important. What else would help with this? I think we covered some of the methodologies already, but we'll be able, the methodologies are going to help no matter what our goal is and what we decide to prioritize. What else am I missing? Get there. I think we do need to really get better at real-time systems. I think that real-time systems are the answer to pretty much most of our methodology questions and most of our issues and problems in relationship to working as a team. So real-time solutions. So we need to be issuing tokens in real time. We need to be doing equity in real time. We need to be doing our equity spreadsheets and team equity, our network equity, and we need to be doing all the project management as well as everything. It just all needs to be done in real time as a team. And the more we can do that and function together as a group in real time, the better everything will turn out. Cool. And there was one other thing that was kind of tipping my hat here that looked interesting, which was like our, actually there's two things here. One would be our health and wellness. So I think that also comes in real time. It's like, how do we support each other and make sure that we're healthy and taking care of each other and our basic life needs? And that might relate to life support some too. So I do feel like that needs to be prioritized somehow if we want to succeed with implementation of our bigger goals. And then also our values and value systems and our mission. So I think that's also part of this teamwork question. So working as a team, we must balance our wellness and personal health and life support. So we need to find ways of doing that. And then also we need to prioritize and really understand our core values as individuals and as a team. It's super duper important. And this also relates to, building and updating and creating mission statements. Cool. With the organization, and then also build and update our mission statements and our values into helping us be more focused as a team. But I think some of this needs to happen as part of and in conjunction with our public launch. Because it's not for us to decide our mission statement, it's for the public and the community coming together with the whole community, not just
Excuse me.
Check.
We are left with 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
On this topic.
Great. I think it's your turn now, Steve. Sibo.
Okay, for me, I think in future we should have various ways to have the organization stable, and also work together as a team and help others who are interested on top priority. And rules have and regulation in the organization when the rule changing.
Can you guys hear Steve-O? Hello?
Yeah.
You guys hear Steve-O?
Yes.
Maybe.
Fine.
I'm going to reset.
Anything, Steve, you have?
Those rules, I think we didn't get.
Yes. When you come back, when you log into this organization, you'll find that the rules which were there before, you'll get that some of them have changed. So sometimes you get confused. When you don't know.
Make plenty of mistakes, and since we're working in different time zones, it's kind of hard to always know what's going on. I mean, we do need to maybe get our communications a little better to where, when something happens is one place where, like, if there's a policy change or a rule change, where it would be posted, like maybe a Skype that everybody, looks at because sometimes you put something on one team and people from another team don't on one team Skype, and people from another team don't read it. So maybe you need to think about, like now, since a lot of us are in the new world waiting for the HR board, people are putting almost everything in there so that all of us see, but so much, me, Miguel, Jorge, and others are out of the other Skypes. So maybe we need to think about someplace where it's just like a general message board for any important messages, rule changes, or something that can be put up, and that way everybody knows it. Just maybe that's a thought.
Well,
I don't know.
We have a specific implementation plan for project management systems, for communication systems, and all of that. We never wanted to do Skype. We never wanted to use private messaging. It was all supposed to be public. It was all supposed to be online on our websites. So, I mean, it's all ready to go. It's just a matter of prioritizing it and just doing it and launching it. It's just working as a team to build all of the website frameworks so that we have all of our project management systems as well as all of our communication systems. And I've spent probably 10 hours on it over the last couple months. But again, it's just been by myself, right? Because no one else is really prioritizing it. So it's just lots and lots of work and prioritizing and working as a team to make it happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. But we do have a plan. It's just a matter of implementing it.
I need to talk about teamwork. I don't know whether that is really regarding the teamwork, especially right now, even though we don't have the budget. For me, I feel like we need to come up with a system, especially on billing our work. Because as now people are like they compete. There is a competition, and people see the work that we can build. They really focus on what we can build. Or even someone can decide to say, okay, I'm working on documentation or doing this thing. What can't we come up with? At least something that is better than that. I don't know. For me, I feel like we need to do something on building our work. When we come up with a better system, that people will not worry on how much hours, how much money are we going to build in future. Now, I think we are going to do better. When we continue doing this billing using this system, I think it's not good for me. I feel like we need to do something on billing our work. That is the major problem that come up with us, because people now think like they don't work together because of that. It really brings some of the conflict even when you are working. People are they're not decided to work like they don't really work as a group because of this issue of billing of the work, billing invoices. Because of this, someone can decide to work with it maybe from their octane so that they can build that work. I think we need to look at everything, every single thing that we have. Like billing is also important. We need to have a budget when we are working. This is a budget for everyone. Which system can we implement for that? That can be okay with each one of us in 2 years to come. If we really continue doing a billing, look onto that and come up with a very simple and easy way for everyone to understand.
A couple things. One would be, I mean, our billing system is brand new. I mean, we've only been doing it for like a month. So to already write it off as not good after we've only done it for a month, I think is a little preliminary. But in the context of making it functional, I would actually say that it's the opposite, that if people don't work together and actually collaborate and actually do coordination, like inter-team coordination, right? That's the only way to prevent it from being a competition, because unless you actually coordinate which teams are working on which work so that we're all not just like duplicating tasks, then it's automatically, it basically becomes a competition. So basically you're forced to work together as a global team to ensure that you're distributing the task and responsibilities properly so that the work is getting done. Otherwise the work doesn't get done. You know, we're still at like not even a third of the income is even being worked on. You know, so I mean, we're so far off on just like the basic premise of the actual budgets and actually doing the work based on the work of the budgets that it just seems a little silly to get caught up in the idea that it's not functional, you know? So there's plenty of work to go around still that we're still not doing. So once we actually do all the work and we bring in all the money that's budgeted, then we can start talking about the issues regarding the budgeting. But in the context of just overall and everything that I've heard, I kind of would group it into two categories. I personally heard two overall categories. One is just organizational stability. There's a whole bunch of context regarding organizational stability, including like everything from the systems to our finances, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's also this idea of public engagement and involvement in achieving our public interest goals. And that includes everything from like, you know, our websites to our focus and even community elections and other aspects of engagement. So what's really interesting there between those two overall themes that we seem to have is that I think they're actually interrelated. I feel that in order to really build organizational stability, we need a broader support network and public engagement for meeting organizational stability, because we simply don't have the skill sets and the ability to function as an organization with the people currently involved. We need more people. We need more skills. We need a broader community. We need advisors. We need trainers. You know, we can't just do it all on our own. And that's where a lot of the public engagement involvement comes in. So I feel like the easiest way to think about that, like just an increase of public interaction and organizing our communications and invitations. I mean, I don't know what, like, you know, we need to go like 2 months out. We need to like see what, you know, is it a Venus session? Is it the Earth session? Like, you know, what is it? I think there's an Earth session in July, et cetera, et cetera. Get our calendar set up and this really focus on setting up our events, or not events, but our sessions, and invite, you know, our advisors and our membership and our communities, and just, I mean, it shouldn't be that complicated. We just make a list of all the people involved, you know, and make sure they get invited. And are we going to get all of them? No, of course not. But if even a couple people show up, that would be great. You know, so I don't think it needs to be that complicated. We just need to do one step at a time and prioritize it and follow through with it. It's really the foundation is communications. All right, so we just need to pull our communication systems together and just make our email lists and our groups and just invite more people, starting with the people already involved with the organizations and the network, and then expand out from there. And I think that'll help us stabilize a lot that we're doing right now. Check. Did anyone else not go? Did we get everybody? Albina, Joyce, Lucy, I think we got everyone, right?
Yeah, I think we got everybody.
Melissa, Melinda, anything else to add? Any other themes anyone sees from our 2-year plan?
If now we're at the top of the hour again. I don't know if anyone wants to take a break.
Cool. So let's take a break for 5 minutes, and then when we come back, I think we're ready basically to do some wrap up, checking on our schedule, and then we can check out. Okay?
Sounds good.
Cool. Yes.
Is everyone back? Okay.
We're here.
Okay. I'm here.
be done soon. Oh yeah, I'm back. I'm here. So I think we're ready to do our wrap up, right?
I would think so.
So I would love to do like a actual wrap up, which would be pretty cool.
Something that never gets done.
Yeah. It's actually part of our problem of not working together. The team need to know what our next steps are and like who's doing what. So let's
I don't know if that's
steps.
not working together problem, but just the fact that some of our meetings go so long that by the time we get to what the wrap up would be, everyone's just ready to go.
Well, no, it's called discipline.
I'm not sure.
It's called discipline. Yeah. You have to discipline yourself as a team to be able to do the necessary components. It's like, it's like, I don't know. There's just certain things that you have to do,
Yeah.
To be functional. And one of those is wrap up. It's like writing a book without writing the end of the story, just skipping the end, right?
Or no glossary at the end, one or the other, yeah.
Or no conclusion to your report. So next steps. What are the next steps that we have as a team? Any next steps? Does anyone know what the next step is?
My opinion about the next steps are to prioritize getting the websites up and running.
That would be a goal, though. That's different than a next step. So we have all of our goals. We have all the goals for the websites and getting the websites next set up and all that stuff up. The idea of a next step is, okay, now that we have all these goals and we have a clear process, how are we going to move it forward from here? Does that make sense?
I think we need to prioritize the goals.
So what does that mean to prioritize the goals?
To decide what goals need to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, perfect.
Of course, as we said, some of the goals are long-term goals for the 2-year plan and maybe even the 15-year plan.
Yeah.
But some of the goals, such as the websites, tokenization, maybe public outreach, are more realistic or more getting our systems and processes, really down to the teamwork, are more priorities than some of the other goals at this time.
Cool. So one way to do that could potentially be putting the goals into a spreadsheet so we can vote on them. That could be one way to do it. Another way could be another option, or put goals into a voting form so people can vote on them. And really there's two separate, like important to separate the 15-year goals from the 2-year goals. And you can see how the 2-year goals and the 15-year goals are very, very different.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So that's excellent. So does anyone want to work on that? And are there any other next steps?
If I can, I'll gladly work on either doing it as a voting form or putting it into a spreadsheet. Either one.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which one. Basically, you have to type them in either way. So,
I think it's just copying and pasting. It's called work. So,
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so does anyone want to work with Steve to make sure that is followed through with? Or does anyone want to assign this to one of the other 15, 20 workers across the world who probably would never know about it otherwise, and probably it's not going to happen because no one seems to want to spearhead this and make sure it's moved forward? Anybody? No. Okay. Other next steps.
Pause it again? No, turn on mute.
Other next steps?
Okay. Are there next steps? Yes.
We're going through the next steps right now. So if you have any other next steps to add.
looking for them.
We should not vote on priorities.
Was that a next step, Lucy?
I don't know if it is the next step. I think like we need not to vote on priorities. If you know which priority or need to be done or a project, we just put it as the first thing. Instead, sometimes we vote, but other people, they might not even know how to vote on those priorities. Why not just arranging the priority from number 1 to the last? We see which one it needs to get done, as Steve said, and which one is the next. Instead of voting every time we go to this, we vote. We might even vote for some non-priority. We need to prioritize the list that is going to remain at least for 1 month. If we see, then it will just keep on changing after 1 month. I don't know if it is the next step.
So I would call that more of like, getting understanding on our process as a team, right? We again, it's like until we are all on the same context of what we're doing and why we're doing it, we're not working as a team. So we need to be on the same page, understand our process, why we're doing it, what we're doing. I think this also relates to our methods in terms of where we are now, what our options are, prioritizing our options, and moving forward, right? Implementation. So let's definitely prioritize that as the next step. That's super duper important. Any other next steps?
Well, I heard a lot of onboarding new recruits. I'll be helping with the new recruits for the local, but then also anybody who needs help, they can just give them my contact and I can help them with the docs they need, and if they need to figure out the buddy teams, I can tell them how, and so they're a little bit more prepared and they don't lose interest so easily.
Okay. So basically, more clarity on recruitment processes. Does that sound right?
Yeah, for the new recruits as well as local recruitment, I'll help get that together.
It sounds like she's talking about, onboarding and how to set up the buddy process and the budgeting and the buddy team budgets.
They can contact me.
Okay.
They wanted, yeah. If they
I might be off it, but isn't that what the recruitment commission is supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Taking care of all the onboarding and teaching people how to set up their buddy teams and their budgets. Isn't that why we formed the recruitment commission?
Yeah, I would believe so. So, I mean, there's the whole recruitment commission issue in and of itself. So I think that is just the next step that needs to be addressed, right?
Yeah.
And the recruitment commission is supposed to be working for the global core team, but I don't know if they really are right now.
So that's the next step that needs to be addressed, without a doubt.
Yeah. Cool. So this is great. Other next steps.
What are the exact priorities and responsibility for Jello team? Is it the same as the global, the one we do? Or do they have their own specific tasks and responsibilities?
So another next step would be the Jello team. Jello team roles and responsibilities. So we're not going to answer that question right now because we're in next steps, not we're not in the topic itself. Okay. So another thing I think is calendar. We need the calendar. We need the list of all the planetary sessions for the next year, right? We just need that, especially for the rest of 2018, at least the rest of 2018.
Somebody asked Jilla to do it. He's really good at that.
Yeah, so we need to start inviting people to all of the sessions. Like, it should really just be one simultaneous process. It shouldn't be like, oh, let's plan for the Venus session, and let's plan for the blah blah session, and the Mercury session, and the Earth session. It's like, here are all the sessions. Let's invite everybody to all the sessions, and then tell them which sessions they're supposed to come to, so that it's just one process. Here's the schedule for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Come to the sessions you want to come to. If you're in the membership, you're supposed to come on this date. If you're in the Legion, you're supposed to do it on this date. If you're on the Council, you're supposed to come this date. And then you just keep reminding them.
And maybe we just send out a reminder like the month before, reminding people.
Exactly.
You know. Good idea.
All right. Well, that's not just an idea. That's how it's supposed to work. All right. So that looks good. Then from there, I think, any other next steps? I feel like there are major next steps in regarding the methods and teamwork. I would just kind of add it to what Lucy was talking about, just like, we must get on the same page for how we all should be and want to work.
And I think every responsibility needs to be organized really well. On the doc, step-by-step instructions.
Well, let's put that as a separate thing. Responsibility organizing.
The same way I'm doing for the voting forms, that I'm doing literally step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. You know, where you just read it and you know how to do, or you basically know how to do it from reading it with basically step-by-step instructions.
Yep.
What buttons to push, whatever,
Exactly.
And whoever's doing the organizing should also do what I'm going to do with the voting form. With the forms is I'm going to make a video. Miguel or Jorge, somebody's going to read it, and as they're reading it, I'm going to record my screen doing it, so they can see it actually being done as it's being read, so they see how the step actually gets done, not just on paper but on video also.
Yeah. That's the responsibility organizing process. So it's very exciting that people are getting more into it, because without that we basically don't have anything. Cool. But yeah, so we can review the responsibility organizing process again as another next step. Any other next steps? All right, so I think we're good. So the next part of wrap up would be the responsibilities and tasks. So this would be, are there specific responsibilities and tasks that people got assigned to that need to be remembered? Are there other responsibilities and tasks that we need to be considering over the next couple days?
I guess I'm going to make up, I don't know whether we haven't decided whether we want to do a voting form or make up a spreadsheet with everybody's name on it where they can vote by 0 to 9 like we always do, with all the with all the priorities from today. If you let me know whether you want to do it in a voting form or make a doc with every active member's name on it, and we put it on the I can put it on the New Moon, on the New World Waiting, and then you can put it on all the other Skypes. Or if you'd rather do it in a voting form and I can just send it out to everybody in the voting form, I will take on the responsibility of getting that done within, Monday, Tuesday. I got to finish the other voting form I'm doing first, and then I can do that one.
Okay, so I think we covered that as part of our
all right, I will get it done.
Next steps.
There's nobody over to help. I will get it done.
Yeah, although it's I just feel like someone else should be capable of doing that, and if no one else is going to do it, what you should be focusing on is the HR board vote and not.
Right, well, like I said, I'm going to get that done first. The HR board's going to be done by tomorrow. By tomorrow evening, I'm going to get that done first.
Yeah, but I think overall, what your focus should be on getting someone else to do it. Like, go find someone and train them and get them to do it.
I can do that, and I'll find somebody else who can do it. All right.
Yeah.
and explain to them what it needs to be done. No problem.
Cool. All right, so that's covered. Are there any other responsibilities, tasks, anything else that came up for today? I would say the other thing, I guess, is also next step that relates to this, but I don't know if anyone's going to do it, is the Saturn plan and the Ceres plan. So the Saturn plan and the Ceres plan themselves need to be updated and written. I'm assuming that it would probably be me doing that, but it's like there's so many other priorities like payroll and the grants and like, you know, all the other things that need to be dealt with that are just probably higher priority. But I feel like the fact that the Saturn plan and Ceres plan, I mean, are so far out that, you know, even if we do it in like a month or so from now, it still should be okay. So let's not worry too much about it. But those are next steps that they do need to be written and updated.
Is it a priority?
I didn't say it was necessarily a priority. I said it's the next step.
Okay. Communication also.
So I think our responsibilities and tasks really are more related to our schedule. On our schedule is like the quarter moon, the Mercury session. Look, digital storytellers and the SLAM events. This is the next steps. There's a proposal, right, for the council. So maybe like, you know, prep for Mercury session. We need reminders for all of the Mercury reporting from managers. So we need manager reports from everybody. What else do we need? We need that, you know, we can remind people to vote on the priorities for the management positions. And then also for the quarter moon, what do we need for the quarter moon? Is there anything for that we need?
The budget.
Budget. So this includes like octant budgets and, you know, preparing for hard stops, etc., etc. Cool. So, I mean, ideally, we would have gotten the vote out for the HR board voting before the quarter moon. So it's still really sad that it's like we're just not able to do these basic things of just, you know, taking the new moon proposals, putting them on the form and sending them out. I mean, it technically should be capable of doing this in 24 hours, and it has nothing to do about any individual. As a team, we should be capable of doing this. So it's like, why does no one feel comfortable just doing the basic minimal things that need to happen? So I think that would be another next step. You know, why as a team, no one feels comfortable moving forward with basic minimal needs of the team.
I think sometimes people don't know what the basic things that need to get done are.
But we say them over and over and over again, and it still doesn't get done. Maybe it's because people say they're going to do it, and then they don't do it. I don't know. So maybe we just need to like get more people working on it, or I don't know. But somehow, some way, it shouldn't take a week to put together a voting form for four proposals that the HR board needs to vote on.
Nope. But I gave you a deadline, and it will be done by then. So that's all I can say on that.
But the deadline's after the quarter moon, right?
No.
No.
When's the quarter moon? Tomorrow at... No, no, it's in the middle of the night. When is it? I'll have it done before the quarter moon.
That would be good.
Okay? I'll have it done before the quarter moon.
All right, any other next steps for the quarter moon or anything else? I think we're good for the responsibilities and tasks. So this is where we would do evaluation, but typically we've been doing our evaluation as part of our checkouts, although this was created after the checkout process, so we'll do that separately. So our schedule, quarter moon Mercury session, I
We
think
have
we're ready to check
monthly
out.
and quarter moon session the same day. So are we going to combine?
No, I think they're 12 hours apart. So one's at 9 p.m. UTC on Sunday, and the other's at 10 a.m. Monday at UTC. So they're actually separate days. They're almost like 12 hours apart or more.
Yeah, they are separate.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna have very different focuses. The quarter moon, we're gonna be focusing on the budget. We're gonna be focusing on, just getting our team and methods and how we're working together. Whereas the Mercury session, we're gonna be focusing almost exclusively on the management team and all the reporting and our 1.5 month reports and plasma and like all the other things related to the Mercury session. So they're very different topics and focuses. So let's go ahead and check out the end of session positions. If anyone wants to help with session value tracking would be good, but otherwise I think we're ready to check out. And again, the checkout questions are questions basically like, how did the session go for you? And we do a score from 0 to 9, and what you are going to prioritize for the next 2 years. Anything else? Let's start. So who wants to do this? Steve, do you want to take us through the checkouts since you've been kind of helping out?
Sure. Joyce, would you like to check out?
Yeah, for me the session went like an 8, and also the prioritization. I want to prioritize to the methodology, because this is the base of all. If we are organized and working together, then we can finish the work, and many things to get done. And then if we are organized, then we can get to concentrate on our investor relations. Because if we get our basic things done, then we will get to concentrate on the requirements of our clients to be done. And what else? Yes, I guess that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Almina.
Yeah, for me the session was 7. Like 7. Because we were able to go through the 15-year goals and 2 years goals. So it was good. For me, I'll prioritize on calendar scheduling for the planetary sessions. And also being able to work as a team, following the methodology process, and also doing the proper communication during working. Thank you.
Lucy, what would you like to check out?
Yeah, I'll give it 6. The session was good, and we discussed a couple of goals, and I'm going to focus on system and processing. Also on calendar and scheduling, I'll be now to work on them. And follow the methodologies process.
Okay, Melissa.
I thought the session was at 8. It was nice to hear everyone's long-term vision and where everyone's at, and I'm going to focus on grant funding.
Melinda.
I'm also an 8. I'm going to help with recruitment, and it's good to, it's the first planet session for me, and I got an update of Saturn session.
So I feel like I'm caught up and see where, it's good to be together and the meeting. And then, yeah, so I'm at an 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought this was a good session, maybe like a 7.5. We went through pretty much everything. I think we did have some hiccups here and there in terms of our process and just, teamwork and everything. But I feel overall we're making a lot of progress. As far as like what I'm most interested in working on over the next 2 years is definitely in public outreach and engagement, really getting out there, connecting with communities, connecting with more people who are interested in engaging with a bigger vision of how to transform the world. And I feel like people in some ways are waiting for more ways to get involved. And so the sooner we can get out there, the sooner people will find a new path that they're looking for. So that's pretty much it for me. Check.
It's my turn. I'm going to give this session an 8.5, which I usually don't go anywhere near that high, because we actually focused on what this session is for, our goal for the next 2 years, where we are after 2 years, the last 2, and where we might want to be in 15, 2 and then 15. So I think this session was really, really good because we didn't get bogged down with, internal problems. We talked about what this session was supposed to be about. And I think that's really good, something that doesn't happen often. Very often we end up getting stuck on 1 or 2 subjects and really not covering what any session is supposed to be about. And I think this one went real well, with the exception of 1 or 2 minor procedural problems, as Jay would call them. As far as my goal for the next 2 years, communications, internal and external with the public, public outreach are always at, near the very top of my list, and investor relations and bringing in new clients to stabilize, the budget so that Jay personally doesn't have the headaches and get sick over it, and the team in general doesn't have to spend so much of its mental energy focusing on the budget and worrying about the budget, if they're going to fit the budget, if they're not going to fit the budget. I think that makes it a lot harder to get work done when everybody's, and when the team in general is focused on just, where the money's going to come from. So I think getting new clients, getting the budget straightened out, getting the grants, whatever, to straighten out the finances is really important to the overall success of the organization. Because too much energy gets taken, gets used when we're not financially stable. And heck, that's it. I'm good.
I think that's everyone. Anyone else? Anything else anyone wants to add? I think we're done.
I think we're done. Have a good night, everybody. Afternoon, night, morning.
What, Joyce?
Whatever, where you are.
Yeah, I thought Steve O is still there.
Oh, Steve O. Did Steve O check out?
No, Steve O left.
He left.
Oh, okay.
Steve O left.
He disappeared.
That's why I didn't call on him.
Cool. All right, we're good to go.
On my screen.
Good work, everybody. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. See you.
Bye, all.
Till next time.
Yep.